Hey, folks. All right. Happy, what's today? Tuesday? Happy Tuesday. Just as a heads up, this will not be one of our traditional lives just because I'm in between trips and I'm tired. So what I figured I would do, because I just didn't have I didn't get enough time to look at all my notes and really be able to tackle all of the things happening in the world at the moment. So this is the plan. I literally fly out in the morning. I get back Sunday night. We'll do another live maybe Monday or Tuesday where I can actually talk about the things that have a little bit more substance. So I said, you know what, tonight will just be, it's an easy night. All right. And I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what, you come on here every other week and you sit here and talk about trauma for 2 and 3 hours all day. It's okay to take a day to just be like, look, let me do some happy stuff. So this live is specifically all music entertainment for those who were coming in ready to march and get in the trenches and get down and dirty. We'll do that next week. Let me just get a day. Like, I'm tired. I'm so tired, guys. But so what I said I would do is we'll cover a few music topics. We'll chop it up in the chat and we'll call it a night because I fly out. I did a trip I did Puerto Rico this past week, which is really nice. And then I'm going to ABFF tomorrow. That's in Miami. And then like a week and a half after that, I go to Jamaica. So and mind you, we're also doing like some work at the same time. So there just hasn't been enough hours in the day to get everything done that I want to get done. So rather than come on here and half do a live and try to talk about the subjects that are really circulating right now, everything from what's going on in LA, what's happening with Equatorial Guinea, what's happening with this crazy administration, what's happening with Department of Ed, what's happening with Musk's wonderful, well, not wonderful, but that entire data center he's building over there around Memphis that we've talked about a few times that's screwing over everybody. What's happening with Florida A&M, what's happening with Fairfax County Schools, what's happening with, I got so much stuff on here written down. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to really tackle all this and really be on point. So rather than have A-word it and give y'all some BS, I said, let me just wait until I get back. So we'll just cover the music stuff tonight. So sorry for those who are ready to come in here and riot and burn stuff down. Damn, I left my water in the other room. Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna say my hellos. I'm gonna go grab my water and then we'll start. Let's do that. All right. I didn't even get my tea either. All right, let's see here. So what up, Raywin, Tyler Hackner, Julian Steve, Amber Stasher, what's up? Amber, you cracked me up with that post you made. Amber's a longtime follower and she sent me this kind of like a homework assignment she did way back in high school. And in the assignment, it's talking about like the work that I do. I was like, please do not age me up. Talking about I was your high school homework. Like, don't age me up, please. I'm trying to lie about my age and pretend I'm still in my late 20s. Nino Show, what's up? D. Bradford, what up, SF? Let's see. Yeah, thank you, SF. Said, live your best life, Calvin. I just need a day. Y'all know I'm always on ready, but sometimes I'm like, okay, you just can't sit here in trauma all day. Yeah, so I just want to do somewhat of a lighter task. Yeah, I'm wearing a hat today because up under here, it actually got done. It's really nice, but y'all don't get to see it right now. Yeah, so let's see that. What up, Cynthia? Okay, I'm gonna just grab this water real quick. I promise to sit in the other room. I'll be right back, and we can start. All right, we in business, folks. Okay. All right, so I think we'll start with probably the obvious. I guess we can go straight into well, actually, before I do BET Awards, first of all, I have to shout out Fantasia. I don't remember the last time I did a live, but I was in Baltimore maybe the week before last, I want to say. And, Baltimore has ArtScape. Like, I love going to Baltimore because they always got a bunch of stuff going. They got AfroM coming up in June. They have all these different, festivals and stuff that are always taking place, which I appreciate. And so I went to ArtScape because I had a friend that had an exhibit, and then I had some other friends that were like, hey, let's go out and just, chop it up anyway. And so I was like, great. So did ArtScape. Fantasia was one of the headliners, or she was the headliner. There were other acts on the ticket, which is really cool. Little Brother, if you guys don't know, is one of my favorite rap groups. They were there. I don't know if the crowd resonated with their set as well. I think Little Brother has a catalog that's kind of, you appreciate it if you're a fan, but if you're like a casual listener, you're not going to really know what to do with their stuff. So I don't know if the crowd really resonated really well with them, but I enjoyed it because I haven't seen them live since 2008. And, you know, they're wrapping their finale tour. So that was really cool. Letoya Luckett was on that ticket. She had been promoting all of her stuff. You know, she's on whatever this new Tyler Perry show is. So she was doing a promotion, no rounds for that and some other things. So she already gave us a heads up that her voice was going to kind of be a little shot. So for those publications that were posting the clips of her not sounding too great, she told us ahead of time that, hey, her voice is gone, so leave the girl alone. Tweet was on the set. I just saw tweeted, but there's the Jazz Supper Club or whatever. I forgot what it's called. They changed the name. I saw her maybe a few months ago, but so she was good. But that Fantasia, man, if you haven't seen Fantasia, you need to go. It's like an outer body experience. She is such a raw talent, like a talent where she doesn't even need anything on the stage. She just give her the mic, she got it. I've always said when it comes to like my favorite entertainers, that as far as women in stage shows, when it comes to the visual artists, you know, my top three have always been like Tina, Janet, Beyonce, right? Now, when it comes to like the singers, as far as like who give a good show, you know, it's always Whitney's always going to be there. It's always been like a Whitney. I like CeCe Winans. I don't care for her catalog, but I think she's excellent live. You know, Shantae Moore is really excellent live, but Fantasia, I don't even know where to place her, but she goes way up there. Like when I say Fantasia hit every note under the sun you could think of, notes that I didn't even know existed. Oh, I threw to me in there too. She just was like pulling these notes out of nowhere, and it was like, I don't know. And then what was crazy, when she came out, the sound was jacked up. So her mic wasn't on for the first song. So she was doing the Hood Boy song. And you know it was sounding good. Like the band is doing their thing. And you know, she doesn't play, like her backup singers get it in too. So the backup singers getting it. Everything sounds great. We just can't hear her. We can just see the faces that she's making. And you know she's tearing it up, but you can't hear it. And Fantasia doesn't know that we can't hear her because she got the earpiece on. And so she did that entire song, you know, and I was like, man, we missed the whole thing. And then, you know, they tell her like, we can't hear you. And she's, what? Y'all couldn't hear me? So I thought she was going to do it again, but she's like, no, we got to keep going. But excellent, excellent show. Great crowd participation. A good set and a good mix of like giving people what they know, plus some new songs in the mix, some really fun covers. I love that they did Morris Day in the Time, the Bird. Like that was some funky-ish there. I'm trying to not cuss. Like that was fun. And that was probably my favorite part of the set. When they got to the Bird, because you know, anything that sounds like Prince is up my alley. So when they got to the Bird, and I don't know who her supporting back vocalist is that was singing, because like the background singers all got to do a song. Like one of them did Proud Mary, another one did dang, I can't remember what other song they did, but whoever was singing the Morris Day at the Time, Bird, when she jumped into that next octave and sang the song even, I was like, they not playing. That was a fun show. So if Fantasia is in your town, go and see her. I'm telling you, that is your money's worth. That you know how like you see some people and they get on stage and you just know there's nothing they can't do. That's Fantasia. It didn't matter what she was gonna do. I knew she could do it. That's a performer. That's what you call a singer's singer. That just, man, excellent. Also, I got to shout out Brielle and Kiki. I was over there in the drink line trying to get a drink, and then somebody knew me from YouTube. And you know, you feeling guilty because I be over here trying to present a lovely, wholesome image, and here I am with a couple looking, hey, they like, Calvin? I was like, oh shit. Like, hey, what's up? So shout out to y'all. That was nice meeting y'all while I was there. All right, let me read some comments, and then we're gonna go right into these BET Awards because there's so much to cover. First of all, the BET Awards was long, right? Longer than my lives. Okay, my lives, you know, these normally about 2-3 hours. I think the BET Awards clocked in at about 4 hours and 30 minutes. I said, y'all giving me a run for my money now. I ain't gonna be on live that long, but amen. All right. Let's see here. What up, Omega? Said watching live from Atlanta. Shout out to the A. Gotta say what's up to my mama. Y'all keep getting that crazy weather out there. I'd be nervous every time she tells me y'all are on tornado watch. Tyler said she doesn't even need a mic. Yeah, Fantasia really didn't need the mic. Like, again, there are some people who their shows are amazing because there's so many enhancements on the stage and there's a lot going on. And then there are some who just get up there and sing. And I mean, she just puts her whole body into the songs. Like you think she's almost singing gospel with every song, but I mean, she just, my God. Somebody said, I'm so mad I was at ArtScape and you were there. Yeah, I was there. I was there on whatever day Fantasia was, which I think was Saturday. I didn't go on Sunday, but I usually go every year. And I normally go to AFRAM too, but I think I'm in Jamaica when they do AFRAM. Let's see. Okay, so let's jump into these BET Awards. Let me just go ahead and actually pull up the list because there was so many people, actually, I should talk about Sly Stone first. Actually, I'm gonna do that first. Sorry, folks. We got to pay our homage too. Sly Stone also unfortunately passed away. I will definitely say there's an amazing documentary called Sly Lives that's out. It actually came out this year. I want to say we talked about it on one of the lives. Please go and watch that. I think as time progresses and we see so many of the legends transition on, it's so important that we understand the legacies they left behind and what it is they contributed to music. Mainly because we just live in a really interesting era where all of the information is right here in our faces now, but it's like people don't want to connect or go on like a deeper level when it comes to the context of everything in music, everything in news, in history. Like, it's, y'all know I'm a long-winded person. This is probably one of the reasons why I'll never thrive if I ever really try to push TikTok, just because I talk too damn much. But I think it's so important for people to really understand the concepts of just how all this stuff is connected. Like, prime example, everybody knows one of my favorite entertainers is Janet. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts, right? And so how does that tie to Sly Stone? That's one of her pretty much idols. And even when you're looking at some of her biggest hits, a lot of her hits sample Sly and Family Stone. So if you take like Rhythm Nation, it samples Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself. If you take her song And On, it samples Family Affair. If you bought her latest album from 10 years ago, the song Gonna Be All Right is definitely Sly and the Stone influenced, right? And so it's just interesting how all this stuff ties together. But with Sly and Family Stone, especially Sly Stone, what I enjoyed about their work is that it was so abstract and so different for the late 60s, early 70s. Very out of the box. And I definitely recommend, if you get into their catalog, you got to really just sit and put an actual album on and just let it play. I know we're in the era of playlisting, and you just pull the songs you think you like and put them in a playlist and go like that. Sometimes you just got to put an album on and just let it sit, because it's a different kind of experience. It's one of the things I've been doing the last year and a half, really just letting albums play all the way through. It sounds crazy. This is a very 2025 kind of conversation because, if you were around before streaming, that's what we did anyway. But you get so used to playlisting and putting everything into a space with how you like it. But really, like, that idea of just letting an album simmer and play and ride out is a different kind of journey. I would definitely say check out the album Fresh. That's probably my favorite album by Sly and the Family Stone. But I mean, they have so many great gems. One of my favorite songs, definitely If You Want Me to Stay. That song always reminds me of Billy Preston. It makes me think of Nothing from Nothing because of the bass line on the song. And so, Hot Fun in the Summertime is a classic one people usually like. I already talked about Family Affair. Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself. Most people know Dance to the Music. But they have some really great projects. So rest in peace to Sly Stone. I don't think they get the credit for his contributions to music at all. Especially when we're talking about everything that was happening, when you're talking about the late 60s into the early 70s. So much was happening in the world. And so these albums and these projects were the soundtracks to what people were living through and how people got through each day. And so go back, revisit some of those albums, some of those songs, watch some of those concerts. Even if you go back and watch Summer of Soul, the documentary we talked about, I think it came out in 2021. It just, I don't know, music just really takes you on a journey, right? It's so dope to sometimes just kind of almost jump back into time spaces that you weren't even around for, right? But the music almost kind of puts you in a space where you can almost imagine what it would have been like. So rest in peace to Sly Stone. All right, let us get to BET Awards, because man, I almost missed it, to be honest, because I literally, what day did I get? I got back Sunday. It was weird because I was like, normally BET Awards is on a Sunday, right? But it's on Monday. I'm like, man, Monday I was over here scrambling because I landed Sunday night, scrambling Monday, trying to take care of a bunch of stuff because I had to go into work today and then I fly out tomorrow. So it was like, man, and I had just enough time to get in the door and catch BET Awards. I missed the first 30 minutes, so I had to like rewind it. I was literally listening to some of it as I was driving, but I had to go back and actually see the visual. Overall, I think the BET Awards this year, I think this is probably one of the best ones they've had in a really, really, really long time. But I do think it's a generational opinion. I think if you're Gen Alpha or Gen Z, you might not have been as crazy about this one because a lot of the acts were more so geared towards Gen X and millennials, to be honest. Like, if we're looking at the list of performers, the list of pretty much everything, a lot of it was tailored toward a crowd that's closer to 30 and up, if we're being honest. But I ain't had no complaints because, hey, I'm in that crowd. So I had a great time. It was great. I will say, the one thing I would say, they should have had an opener. And I would have made Kirk Franklin that opener. I'll get back to Kirk, but I think that would have set the bar. So anyway, what I thought was really dope is the 106 in Park segment they had. So they open the show and they pretty much recreate the idea of 106 in Park. And what I thought they were going to do was, just have the little set and do a makeshift 106 in Park thing for 5 minutes and move on. But no, they really stuck this out. So they had a full top 10. And in this top 10, they had a performance for each song, which I thought was dope. And they had most of the original hosts. I think AJ, something happened. His flight couldn't get there in enough time. And something was going on with Roxy. She had some opportunity she had, and scheduling just didn't work out. So she wasn't able to come. But you had Free there. You had Terrence J. You had, who else used to be on? What's the girl? She had the curly hair. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Somebody put it in chat. I can't think of her name. You got Keyshia Shantae that was there. Jalissa. She was there. I think those were all of the hosts. I don't remember if Big Ticket was there or not. But it was really cool to see all of that. And then, so they started doing this countdown. And the first performance is Ashanti. I said, oh, okay, they kicking it off with some faces that we recognize. Because, my complaint in the last few years is sometimes they have so many people you don't know who they are. Just because generationally you start to lose track of who's who as you just get older and don't check in with music as much. So Ashanti comes out, she does Happy and Rock. Actually, she does a full little medley, like Rock With You, Foolish. I thought it was nice. As I've said before, my favorite Ashanti song was always Rain On Me. And she didn't do that one, but it was cool to see her do that aspect. They had Jim Jones come out, do Ballin'. That immediately took me back to being in college, freshman year. And then after that, let me see, they had Amerie come out, which I'm going to get to her in a bit more in depth with that Tiny Desk. But I did enjoy Amerie's One Thing performance. That was a lot of fun. One Thing to me is always going to be a song that just never gets tired because it's such a very bright track. It's a very in-your-face production. They play it so much out here. They still play it on like adult R&B radio every day, but so you hear it all the time. But, it's a good track. I'm always going to love that song. Yeah, Keyshia Cole come out. She did I Should Have Cheated. I thought she was going to do Love, but it sounds like she might have had a cold anyway, so it's probably a good thing she didn't do Love. I think I Should Have Cheated was an easier song in that moment. Plus, I Should Have Cheated to me is the song that kind of put her on. Like, I remember when she came out, she was on the Barbershop 2 soundtrack, and she was on the song with Eve that sampled but Luther Vandross, Never Too Much. She had that song Never. So I remember that was the first song. It didn't really do a whole lot. It was kind of just like the song that plays at the end of the movie. And then I Changed My Mind came out, and it kind of had that buzz, in some areas. I was living in Washington State at the time, so it did not find its way there. And then I remember I went to Savannah that summer of 2005, and the next single was I Just Want It to Be Over. And I was like, this lady's cool. I hadn't heard the song on the radio or nothing, but I was seeing her start to get some more traction. And then I just specifically remember she had that BET access granted, what I Should Have Cheated. And I feel like from that moment is when she really kicked into that next gear. And then, of course, Love came out, and the rest is history, right? She just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So good moment to see. Mya was a highlight for me. I thoroughly enjoyed watching her do Case of the X. I wish she would have been at the DC date for the SWV Escape show, the Queens of R&B tour, because she was on that ticket, but for the DC date, she was not there. Then I found out she didn't have dancers anyway. I was like, what was she up there doing? So watching this was really cool. Like, I think if Mya, well, actually, I'll say this. If the Brandy and Monica tour is still really a thing, I ain't hearing a whole lot about it, so I don't know. They might be backstage fighting already. So I feel like if the tour does become a thing, make sure you get tickets to one of the first 3 shows because we don't know what's going to happen afterwards. But Mya should be on that ticket. They need to add Mya. I'm not going to say what I really want to say, but I'm going to leave that alone. But I think Mya should be added to that ticket maybe. But Mya was really fun to watch. I think she should have been a little bit bigger, but I understand her reasoning was kind of just the industry was some nonsense. So she focused on being more of an independent artist, and she had a very thriving career in other places around the world. Even though, a lot of the songs were not coming this way, she still had some really nice albums that have come out in the last few years. So kudos to her. Then they had T.I. come out. He did Bring Him Out. Really fun song from way back when. I still like the production on that song too. Even though, story time real quick, I remember when I was still in high school and one of the dance teams we were on, we were supposed to dance to Bring Him Out, but rap songs be having to cuss words. Why did the advisor come out with like this Kids Bop version of the song and then tried to make us perform it at one of the pep rallies? Man, you want to talk about getting fried up and clowned all. I was so glad I wasn't in that routine. I was happy to not be in that one. I was like, y'all have fun, guys. Enjoy. I was on the side laughing with everybody else. I was like, we are like 17 years old. Why do we have this kid? Because I went to like a white school. Like, why? What is going on here? And when they make those like kids pop versions, it's not like the song even sounds remotely close. They're on a totally different rhythm. Whoever was doing the rap, the real version, TIP, coming live in the VIP, heard the night. No, not this version. TIP, coming live in the VIP, heard the night like that. I was like, what are we? About to get us jumped after school. All right, bad enough we on a dance team. But anyway, let me see. Oh, B2K, all four of them were able to get together, come on stage. Mics were not on, but they did a great job. I'm just joking. I was always a hater in middle school. I said this before, I was a B2K hater because we're all in the same age. Well, I'm a little bit younger than them, but I just remember in middle school, even before they blew up, remember like there was the Word Up magazine. And all the girls used to have the Word Up magazine. They would rip the posters out. So it would be like Bow Wow or like Marcus Houston or who else is from that era? All the ones that came out in that era. And you'd always see the girls like obsessed with B2K. And I was like, who are they? Because nobody knew their music yet. Nothing was out. And the girl like, oh, it's some group called the Boys 2000. I'm like, who? Oh, okay, whatever. Right. So then when they came out, it was like a pandemonium. Everybody was obsessed. So I was just a hater right off the bat, even though I'd liked a lot of their songs and stuff. I was a hater at the time. And then they won me over when they did the BET Awards in 2004, when they did the Girlfriend. It was, I was like, okay, all right, y'all all right with me now. And then I was so petty because they broke up like a month later. And this girl, Carlisa, that was in one of my classes, she was obsessed with them. She used to love them. And I couldn't wait to call her because I was watching 106 in Park, and I think 3 of them were on there, and Omarion wasn't because they had just broke up. It's like, Carlisa, you watching 106 in Park? Yeah, your boy's on there. You might want to, tune in. Horrible friend. I'm sorry, Carlisa. I didn't mean it. But yeah, so they did the Bump Bump Bump. I've never liked that song. I even when it came out, I thought it could have came so much harder than that. So I was good on that song, but it was cool to see them. Then Bow Wow, of course, did the Like You. Now I was waiting for Sierra to come out because that was the main part, because it looked like they had like a silhouette in the back, so I was waiting for Sierra to come out and be ready, and I was like, oh no Sierra, okay, I'll still take it, but it was still dope just for me to find out Sierra was there anyway. I said, Sierra, what? Okay, fine. You see, Keyshia Cole had time to come out and perform 2 or 3 times. Sierra, you could have came out, but it's okay. That just reminds me again, summer of 2005 was a time, like all the bangers came out that summer, and then he also did Fresh as a Miz. I wasn't crazy over that song, but I did like You, and I really used to like Let Me Hold You Down when that came out with him and Omarion. That was a fun summer track. That was a great time, right? Let me pause for 1 second. Let me see what you guys are saying in here. But I really thought that 106 in Park tribute was really, really fun. That was really cool. Great for the nostalgia. I'm sure millennials, we loved it. Gen X was probably cool on it. They appreciated it. Gen Z was like, yes. But that was a lot of fun to see all of them. I'm glad all these people got their flowers, because for some reason, there's this thing where if people are not on like a current like Kendrick Lamar or Beyonce stadium tour level of success, people like to just dismiss the accolades of everybody who doesn't hit that caliber of success. And it's like, y'all don't realize, like, a lot of these people are the soundtracks to our childhood. And in moments where sometimes we didn't have that kind of representation on the TRL, these were the acts that we looked up to. So I've always appreciated like what all of them were able to bring to the table. And again, like I said, please go back and just revisit R&B music in 2005 and some of those albums that came out, because a time was had. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna go back to my Sly Stone pieces too. Oh yeah, Cadre. Yep, Michael sampled the "Thank You for Let Me Be Myself" sample on the Scream remix as well. Yeah, I have that one too. Yeah, Sly Stone passed. I'm sorry, Omega. I hate that you had to find out on this live. Alan said BT Award started at 5, ended at 10. Oh, because you're on the West Coast. Yeah. Okay. I didn't watch the pre-show, so I don't know who was at the pre-show. If anybody was asking, I missed it. I'm sorry, y'all. I also want one more thing too. I want us to get out of the habit, because I be getting annoyed when people do this. When every time it's the BET Awards and y'all be calling it the EBT Awards, I'm like, y'all, this is a very 2015 joke that y'all will not let go. And at this point in time, in comparison to whatever happened with the AMAs we watched and the Billboard Awards, which is I think on pause, and the Grant, I'm sorry, I'm at this point where BET kind of cooked everybody. Like, it wasn't even close. VMAs was garbage last year and probably will be garbage this year. So y'all always want to call everything EBT. Honestly, they were the one award show that I think got it right in modern times. And it was because they centered the award show on the actual music. They didn't polish and make everything about social media influencers and make them the star of the show. This is no disrespect to the people who have the millions of followers on TikTok and streaming devices and everything else like that. Cool. But I think when people watch award shows, especially people who are not Gen Z and younger, they want to actually, see the music stuff. So when they bring out all these people who we don't watch online, it's like, I guess. So a lot of the award shows have just fallen off the wagon so bad because they're just not really, it's not about music. And then again, MTV doesn't play music anyway, so they don't know who to put on there. So BET, they got it right this year. I'm sorry. It wasn't a perfect show, but compared to most of the award shows that I've had to sit through, they got it right. It's one of the reasons I don't really review award shows anymore, because they just suck so bad. It's a waste of time. So yeah, I get annoyed when people do the whole EBT thing. And I'm like, well, then if that's the EBT awards, what are the VMAs? Because when was the last time they had a good year? And when was the last time the AMAs didn't suck? Right? And the Grammys is cool, but half the time we don't even be invited anyway. We got 1 or 2 performances. Well, I will say the Grammys was really good this year. I'll take that back. Grammys actually had a good mix. But yeah, anyway. Let's see here. Ray's Human said, I love listening to albums play. I miss interludes and those skits. Yeah, interludes are always great. That's why I put them on my albums as well. AJ said, imagine a Fantasia and Tamla Mann collaboration. Look, folks would be on the floor speaking in tongues by the time they finish. Let me see here. Alan said, I'm from Gen Z. I think it was good. Well, I think y'all, to me, I already said, I think Gen Z is kind of split into two. There's the older Gen Z and the younger Gen Z. I think older Gen Z and millennials, younger millennials share a similar experience. Yeah. Younger millennials, older Gen Z, those are kind of like the siblings that are 6 or 7 years apart that lived under the same roof. So, I kind of see it that way. Like my brother was born 6.5 years after me. So he's technically Gen Z. I'm at the tail end of millennial. So it's kind of like we lived in the same house. We just had that age gap. So we just see things a little differently, but we had similar childhoods. Let's see here. Keyshia Cole's first 3 albums are great. I really, really enjoyed her first album. I even liked her, the album that came out in 2012, the one that has I Choose You on it. I think that was her 5th album. That was a nice one as well. If Aaliyah was living, it would be nice to see Brandy, Monica, Aaliyah, and Mya go on tour together. That would be really cool. I agree. Let me see. It's just too early for the BET Awards. For a while, it was Essence Fest for 4th of July week and BET Awards the week before, towards the end of June. I do remember that. They did a good amount of promo, and then it was on. That is true, because I remember, because remember Michael Jackson died in the BET Awards. He died on a Thursday, and the BET Awards was that Sunday. Because, yeah, BET Awards is normally at the end of June. But, yeah, they didn't really promote it. I didn't really see a lot of, well, I guess I don't really be watching TV like that either, but I didn't see a lot of promotion for it. Who knows what they got going? Speaking of Essence, I was going to go, but I told myself too many trips. I'm tired. I'm not crazy over the Essence lineup. I enjoy Maxwell, but I've seen him a million times. So it's kind of like, yeah, we'll pass on Essence, maybe next year. Let's see. Somebody said your dance team sounded like it was unseasoned. No, the dance team was good. Like the dance team, we were able to pull together all 8 black kids that was in the school. No, I was kidding. The dance team was actually fine. There's 2 podcast episodes in it called Boom Cat in the Desert from the Community Hard-Headed podcast episode. It tells you the whole story of that journey. The problem was the school that we went to was just super, super soccer mom, white bread, let's not get too spicy. And if we're going to put anything spicy in the food, it's going to be ketchup kind of staff. So, yeah, I remember one time, this was a different group I was in. Missy Elliott had just dropped Lose Control. Like it had just come out. Not even a week old. This is when you used to get exclusives off the peer-to-peer networking site. So you get your music from like BearShare and LimeWire and Kazaa and all that stuff. And like the song had just leaked. Literally, I think I pulled it off of the LiveJournal forums when LiveJournal was a thing. Either LiveJournal or Blurry. It might have even been Cyber TLC. I don't remember. But the song had just leaked. And I remember I called everybody like, yo, we gotta make something just right now. I mean, we were in my living room moving furniture over. And because we had like an assembly or something, maybe like a week and a half, we had that routine ready. And you know how Missy has that line, do my thing, mother, but it's kind of bleeped out. Nope. That school said, no, not only are we going to not let you just won't do the song at all. We're like, why? They're like, because when the DJ mutes it, the whole crowd is going to say the bad word. I was like, nobody knows the song yet. It's not out. Didn't matter. They told us we couldn't do it. I was like, whatever. So then we try to gather everybody after this, and we're like, everybody just stay in the gym. We're gonna plug up the radio and do it anyway. And then we try to do it anyway, but the little radio wasn't big enough to cover the whole. Those teenage years, whatever. Anyway, let's see. Somebody said B2K's in their 40s now. If they're not in their 40s, they're close to it. They might be late 30s. I mean, it's a weird time anyway. People who are like 40, 40 is very different in modern times, right? People in their 50s at this point can still get away with passing for being in their 30s. It's a different day and age. So I think that's what I was saying I saw that post somebody had made a while back. Maybe we'll talk about it at the end, where the girl was talking about how the club she's tired of hearing like the songs from 20 years ago. And she wants to hear more newer music and everything else like that. And she named, what she would like to hear, even though everything she named was Afrobeat. And I think one of the reasons why you're still hearing so much music from 20 years ago in the club is because Gen X and millennials are still outside, right? We didn't really go in the house after we turned 30 or 40. We still are outside in the streets. And so you have 3 generations in the same spaces. You got Gen Z, Gen X, and millennials in the same clubs. And so to me, I feel like music from about 2010-ish and back, that's that last era of music where collectively everybody still listened to the same thing, where you put a song on and every single person knows the lyrics. Once you start getting into these last 10 plus years, it starts to change, and then you start to see the generational divide. So I think for DJs, the challenge that they run into is trying to appease everybody in the crowd. Now, I will say there are some songs they can take a break on and retire, to be honest. Or, I don't really need to hear Can We Talk Again ever again at another brunch. Y'all can let Can We Talk. We need to whisper on to another song. Just you play it so much. Can We Talk can take a break. Poison can take a break. Candy Rain can take a break. This is how we do it. They don't really play at our parties anyway. That's normally like white folks' holiday Christmas party. They like, this is how we do it. But there's some songs that can take a break. So I saw where she's coming from with that, but I just think there's not a lot of music in the last 10 years that collectively translated or transcended through all the generations. So I think that's one of the things. Okay, we're about to get back to these BET Awards. I'm getting too far off topic here. Somebody said R&B in 2005 was everything. Tony, Mariah, Mary, Amerie. It was a great time. It was a great time. Somebody said the VMAs were boring last year. Somebody said, yes, we're very split. Charlene said, I know I'm getting old. I was asking my godchild, who was that? I was happy that I knew everybody that was there this year. Even the newer acts, I'm like, oh, I like that I actually know the people and know the songs. I said, okay, I still got it. The challenge of not working with kids anymore is that I don't have access to all the music. Like, they kept me in the loop with what was it. So now it's like, man, I got to fight harder to stay in the loop. Okay. All right, let's keep going, y'all. They had, Leon Thomas, who I really enjoy his project. It's a very nice project. He performed Mutt. I love that he's been able to really climb the ranks and just excel. He's always been very, very talented. He's one of these child stars that's blown up into something more, but you can tell there's an appreciation for music and the work that he does. He's not just putting anything out there, which I appreciate. So I've really enjoyed watching his journey this year. He's had a really great 2025 and even, late 2024. So good for him. I enjoyed that performance. And then they had the Mariah Carey performance. She performed a new song called Type Dangerous that just came out. And then she finished with It's Like That. Now, I love Mariah, so I'm going to be respectful. I just personally feel, I don't know if, and again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to prescribe. So Mariah fans, don't fight me. Something to me is still off with her. And I hope she's good. Right? It just always seems like she's not there when she's there. And people are going to say, well, Mariah was never really a big deal. And it's true. Mariah was never one to really be up there busting. That ain't really ever been her thing. But she at least, remember like during the Butterfly era, Mariah used to like sprint to one side of the stage and run back to the other side and fan stuff. She don't do none of that no more. She just kind of stands stiff. And I'm like, are you good? I just hope she's good. The song I like. I think the song is fun. I think it's a great summer track. I'm looking forward to the next project. Like I said, I thought Caution was an excellent album. Many people slept. I wish she would have released The Distance as a single because I still play that out all the time. But I don't know if, I know she's had a lot of tragedy. The mom and the sister died on the same day. I don't know if maybe there's antidepressants or something they may have her on that just makes her a little bit more subdued. She just doesn't seem like herself. Please do not fight me, lambs. I promise you, I'm not whacking your girl because y'all. Yeah, but I just hope she's good. she seemed like she was fine when she was receiving her award, but something about her performances for the last year have just been off. Like I don't know. And I just don't want it to get to a point where it starts to tarnish her legacy. You know what I mean? I think the legacy is established. It's there. Nobody's ever going to have the amount of number one she had or sell the record she sold, but something's just off. I don't know what it is. Mariah fans, y'all can school me in the chat with what's happening. And please don't take that as me trying to whack your girl. We love Mariah in these parts, okay? She's a part of the childhood. I just hope she's good. But yet the performance though wasn't bad. You know, I think what was smart was they had a lot going on around her. You know, lots of dancers and the lighting. She looked amazing. You know, Mariah's always been one that looks. Mariah. I don't think I've ever seen Mariah look bad before. Like she's gonna always look good. But it just, I don't know, something's off. But as long as she's happy. Okay, let me see here. One more thing. Oh, and then Lil Wayne performed. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, Eric B and Rakim. I'm so sorry. I forgot to talk about Rakim. And Eric B, they came out. It was weird because the crowd didn't know what's his name was. I was like, but again, it's a generational thing. So they had no idea who was standing right there rapping. I'm like, you got a whole rap legend right there on the stage, and nobody knows who he is. But this is why, again, I think what sucks for younger Gen Z and Gen Alpha is they didn't have the luxury of what every other generation before them had, as far as like music networks that kind of kept you in a loop with stuff. Even if it wasn't from your era, you were in the know because they were always kind of teaching you about what was in the past. And I always give grace to the later generations because just think with each generation, it's almost like they're burdened to have to know even more than the previous generation. As somebody who's like born in the late 80s, my job, I guess, as a kid was to just make sure you were well-versed into music back until about the 1960s, 1950s, you'd be good, right? But mainly the bailiwick is the 70s and the 80s because that's what your parents was playing, right? And then anything that comes after. And so that's me. And then for somebody born in the 90s, it just keeps going and going. So somebody who might be born in like 2001, I know they got to be annoyed when like somebody plays a song from like 1968 and they're like, you don't know this? And they're like, no, right? And then they play something from like 1990. You don't know this? And they're like, no. And I think at least for me coming up, you know, we had those VH1 100 greatest dance song countdowns, 100 greatest songs of the 60s. Great. They don't have any of that. They get YouTube and TikTok. And I think they do what they do. And this is why we see some songs, you know, go viral or have a second win because people rediscover them. There's not really an outlet for them to get that kind of exposure. So if the generations are not teaching it, it's like, why do you fault them for not knowing? People are like, well, they need to go look. Well, they don't know what to look for. In the same way, this whole idea of a collective experience in music has changed where it's hard to kind of figure out what to get into if it's not being spoon-fed to you because now it's just an interesting time. So that's that. All right, let's see here. But Lil Wayne performed. He performed King Carter, Welcome to Carter and Amerie. I like Amerie's always been my favorite song from way back when. He actually wasn't too bad. I never know what to get with Wayne because Wayne be high as a kite sometimes when he get on stage. So sometimes you get a good performance and sometimes you get some BS. This was one of the better ones. So I was like, all right, Wayne. So good for him. I know he's on tour as well. So for everybody who was going off a few months ago, this is the time. Go get them tickets. All right, let's see what y'all talking about here. Somebody said, I thought they was going to do Girlfriend last night. That's about B2K. Let's see here. I'm surprised he didn't do Bounce With Me. Oh, Bow Wow. See, I thought Bow Wow, you know, the Bow Wow song I liked. I was kind of a Bow Wow hater too, but I liked all his songs. So I kind of hated Quietly, right? I liked Puppy Love. That was my song with Jagged Edge. That used to be, that was my song there. That was the one. That was the one I liked the most coming up. Let's see here. Somebody said 2005 being 20 years ago is crazy. I know. Jeez. Good thing I was born in 2006. Whew, so young. Morgan said, people tend to downplay certain artists because they weren't crossover acts or because they aren't actively on the charts anymore. And that irritates me. Same here, because I feel like people miss out on good music. There's so much great stuff that's out there. And it's interesting that some people will dismiss an artist just because it's like they don't have a number one or they don't have this or they didn't sell out enough stadium. Like even when people do the arguments like, oh, but did they do a stadium tour? First of all, stadium tours are an anomaly. Most people aren't going to be booking a stadium to begin with. So there are exceptions to the rule. But it's kind of like when people take like black artists and call them local because they don't cross over in Europe or wherever. It's like, Okay, I guess if that's what you want to value the artist on, whether or not some people in Slovenia knew their song, go ahead. All right, let's see. The Nino show, you and I are on the same page. The last iconic award show to me was the 2009 VMAs. I'll say for the VMAs, that was their last really good award show. That was the year that was the year Michael died, but you had the Michael tribute with Janet. You had Beyonce that did Single Ladies. Pink had did Sober. That was when she was up swinging up on the thing. That's when Kanye snatched the award from Taylor's hand. That's what else was that year? I'm skipping some artists. 2009. Who am I missing? Who, for those who remember? God, I just know it was a great year. They had everybody there. That's all I remember. Everybody was there. It was a great year. Let's see. Oh, Lady Gaga. I think that's when she did she had the blood on the outfit, and a few other ones. Let me see. Somebody said when Beyonce showed up Ashanti in 2003, I need her to redeem herself on the next award show. She does. Well, I think Ashanti redeemed herself. To be fair, actually, no, there's no to be fair. That was a time in 2003. If y'all remember that 03 BT Awards, Ashanti was the ish, right? I used to love Rain on Me and The Rock with You, but I remember Beyonce had already performed, right? She performed on top of her name, right? Because this is when Crazy in Love was blowing up. It was June 03, right? Crazy in Love had just come out. It was something that was real different because remember 2003 we were getting crunk, so it was just a very different sound at the time. And she was dancing on top of her name and great performance. And then Ashanti came out, and Ashanti was pretty. You know, she came out there, she did a remix to Rock With You, and she came out there all oiled up, and she wasn't dancing on top of her name. You know, she just had the screen in the back with the PowerPoint that said Ashanti on it. You know, Ashanti was never really like a big dancer, but you need my hair, my skin. You need my hair, like that was her thing the whole time. And man, hey, y'all had a field day on her. But I thought that performance was okay. Just the problem was that the lady that went right before her was just such a big performance that night. It just kind of changed things. But yeah, I like Ashanti. Let me see. Somebody said, I hope they keep honoring the veterans in the industry because they're passing away. I hope so as well. Let's see. Somebody said vibe music is boring, but it is boring. I agree. I can't get with it. I'm sorry. I can play a song here and there in the car after a great evening when you're going home, but I don't. That's not my go-to. I need some singers, right? I need some. If I'm gonna play the slow stuff, I want somebody to be singing over it, or it has to be a song that just has a really nice. Okay, let me backtrack. So everybody don't got a well under a table, but I just need a really nice album. Like Marie's first album, I think is a great album to vibe to, but that technically doesn't classify as the vibe music people are talking about right now. Because I like that kind of sound, like those songs like Show Me and Float and All I Have, and I Just Died in Your Arms. Like those are very nice tracks. They're real here in a nice smooth pocket, and it's a smooth listen. That's kind of my definition of like vibe music, but that's not what everybody's talking about. The stuff that's out now, it's a different kind of thing. Man, let's see. Somebody said she was always so stiff to me. Mariah was always a little stiff, but I just think she had a little bit more oomph to her at one point in time. You know, she used to do a cute dance. You know, she wasn't doing too much, but she did a little something. You don't even get that anymore. Like, all right. So who knows? And some people are more comfortable when they're with their actual fans. You know, like sometimes people do award shows and kind of a little tense, but then when they get to their own concert or their own residency, then they're out there just giving everything. So who knows? Man, let's see. Silent Artist said Mariah doing the Emancipation anniversary strip performance where she lowered the key so that she can still give us vocals, but all the TV debacles recently have taken her confidence away. Yeah, I do think it's smart to just adjust your songs because she does sing in a very high range. So yeah, go ahead and put it in a lower key, make it work for what it is. Yeah, that's why I think I liked Caution, because Caution I think was an album that they utilized the voice that she currently has. It wasn't them trying to make her still try to get way up there into these high notes. Because the thing is, the lady is like in her mid-50s. Your voice is going to change. And there are some anomalies where we've seen some artists in that same age range where their voice is still in pristine shape. But a lot of her industry peers that were in that same boat are going through similar changes where their voices have just gotten darker or the tone has changed because you just get older, your voice matures. right? And so expecting some of these artists to still have the 18 and 19-year-old bright voices they have, it's just not realistic for most people. But there are some anomalies. Oh, Lil Mama VMAs. I forgot. Yeah, Empire State of Mind with Alicia and Jay-Z. Yes, forgot about that. Thank you. That was a fun night. We were all in my friend's dorm room watching that because that was like the first week we all had got back from summer vacation. Well, I stayed that summer because I was doing a summer session, but all my friends finally got back. I was like, "Yay, my friends are back!" So I remember was watching the VMAs that week. What up, Nan? Calvin, do you see Lenny Kravitz tribute to Sly Stone? I have not. I think I saw, but I was scrolling. That's him sitting with the guitar in like I think the living room. I gotta actually still watch it. Okay, let me keep going, y'all, because so many folks are like, "You get to the point." Glorilla, she did Let Her Cook. I like Glorilla, by the way. Let Her Cook and type of. She was fun. I didn't know she could tap dance, so that was really cool. I was like, okay, giving us something different. So, what's funny to me about her is something about that accent. I love it. I love a nice Southern accent. It just, I don't know, for some reason it just comes off very genuine. It makes people seem so much nicer, right? But no, that performance was cool. I didn't know the type of song, but I know Let Her Cook. I was like, okay, so we're getting there. So that was a fun performance. I like that, especially with female rap or women in rap, that all of them are giving something different. You know, Nicki is doing what Nicki does. Carti does what Carti does. Meg does what Meg does. Lotto does what Lotto does. Doechii does. Like, I like that all of these artists, they all have their own kind of lane. It's like, so good for them, because for the longest, it used to just only be, your only option was Nicki. And this is not a dig at Nicki, but the industry was just not very receptive to women in rap for some reason when we got into like the 2010s. So I'm glad that they're all being able to thrive. Somebody said, what exactly does Lotto do? I don't know. Just rip her out the plastic. She's been acting brand new. Okay, that's what I got. I just think they all are different. Like, I don't see a bunch of carbon copies of each other. I should say that. There we go. Right. Sometimes when you get some of these entertainers, you got 20 versions of the same thing. I think all of them, to me, are a little bit different. Let's see. Oh, then they did the Quincy Jones tribute. I was wondering how they're going to do this, because we had so many that have passed. Like, we lost Angie. You know, we lost Roberta. We lost Quincy. All these people who passed. We lost one of the Isley brothers. I was like, how are they going to tribute all these people? Because I didn't know if they were going to do something where, you know, you just bring out one big powerhouse vocalist, you know, maybe Jennifer Hudson, or they're not going to bring Patty out no more because she could keep forgetting all the words. So, you know, it's either Jennifer or Fantasia, one of the two they normally bring. And I thought they would just bring out a choir and have the pictures going in the background, and that was going to honor everybody. But they actually broke it up and had several performances for different people and have different segments where they honored multiple people. So I thought that was really, really cool. And Frankie Beverly, we lost, right? Thank you, Just Lee, for that. Yeah, and so let me see. They did the tribute to Quincy Jones. That was Luke James, who can never do wrong in my book vocally. An amazing artist. Shout out to New Orleans. Y'all got some talent down there. Miles Caton, I've never heard him, but sounded amazing. And Lucky Day, take care of your kids, but great voice. I thought they did a great job, because again they did The Secret Garden. And at first, I think I was doing something. I wasn't facing the TV when it came on, so I had to look, because I thought they actually had the bars on there, the Elder Bars, and I was like, oh, I was looking, but it wasn't him, it was somebody else. I was like, okay, they got it. Oh, Miles Canton was in Sinners. That's the guitar cat. Okay, I guess I do know who that is. Okay. Thank you. See, this is why we have the chat. Some folks be like, you talk to the chat too much. I'm like, no, the chat keep the live flowing. All right. Don't need no hateration in this dancery. But no, I thought that was very nice. Quincy Jones, I still wanted more, but I think for this award show, since it was already 9 days long, because it was getting real close to surpassing Aretha Franklin's funeral in time. Like, they had 3 more hours to go, and they were going to start giving Aretha's funeral a run for the money. So I think it was appropriate for what they had. Then they had the tribute to Jamie Foxx, right, which was very nice. Craig Robinson, Babyface, Ludacris, Tank, Jennifer Hudson, Dougie Fresh, T-Pain, and Teddy Riley. They really gave Jamie his flowers, which I thought was nice. And I think he really was appreciative of it, because again, this time last year, we didn't know if he was going to glory or not. And so, you know, I think he had a very, very heartfelt speech. I love that he gave every single member of his family their time of just gratitude. And, you know, doesn't it feel good when you do something nice for somebody and they actually receive it? Like, I'm sure those who arranged and organized that tribute felt like they did a really good job, because for it to bring somebody to tears, and he couldn't get no words out, right? I thought it was very nicely done. And like I said, it's great to get people their flowers while they're here. So I thought that was a great, excellent tribute. Favorite Jamie Foxx song? I think mine is it called Heaven? It's that piano ballad. I think Something Will Never Be the Same. I think it's called Heaven. Heaven and Can I Take You Home are probably my two. Oh, and VIP. Those are my three favorite Jamie tracks. I've always really liked those. Teyana Taylor. All right. She did a song, Fire Girl in Long Time. I didn't know what to make of the songs, but I thoroughly enjoyed the performances visually. I was like, okay, y'all got some budget in here. Like she went the more visual route, but dang it, it was really cool to watch. I'd have to go back and listen to the songs again, but I was thoroughly entertained at what I was watching. I was like, okay, I don't know why she never became bigger as an artist. Yeah, I'm guessing it's management. I know she was a good music, so that's strike one. But she has all of the factors. She writes, she produces, she sings, she dances, she choreographs. She has a likable personality. She's down to earth. She's kind of grown up with us, so a lot of us remember her from My Super Sweet 16 and everything else. So it's just like, I would like for her to just get there. I really thought the 1001 movie she did would kind of help propel her into that next realm of success. I think she's on her way. But I appreciate that anytime she's given the opportunity to be on a stage or a main stage, she takes it and runs with it every single time. And so that was a really cool performance. She is definitely the daughter or the love child of Missy Elliott and Janet Jackson, because that was just okay. I got to go back and listen to the songs because I was so just watching the visual. I wasn't even listening to what was actually happening. But yeah, I like that, just like Tyler was saying, they actually had performers this year, right? And you got a bit of everything. So that's what I really appreciated. Like Maya kind of gave you that reminiscent element of what was in the early 2000s with like the choreography and the singing. And she even brought the pole and the stick out. Leon Thomas is out there with the guitar. You got Babyface on the piano doing his singing with Tank and all them. Tiana's getting tossed in the air and flying and flipping and landing on the spaceship and coming back down. And now the aliens are there. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So that was really cool. And then Ledisi had a song called Black Woman she performed. That was my first time hearing it. I love Ledisi. I think she's on tour right now. The song was cool. It was cool. She's had better performances, but she's still Ledisi. She can do no wrong with me. And again, like I said, I like that we got a bit of everything. So I think that falls into that bit of everything conversation. And I think the lyrics to that song are really what are supposed to resonate, right? Especially in this modern time where there's so much going on. People need that music that makes them feel like, okay, we see you. So kudos to that. All right, let me pause and read some of this chat here. Somebody said it would be nice to see an Aaliyah tribute or some sort on the Soul Train Awards or the BET Awards. You know what they did for Aaliyah when she passed? Because Aaliyah died that August, Left Eye died that April. So the BET Awards 2002, I remember this so vividly. Just before they went to commercial, they had the voiceover that gave like a 45-second tribute to Left Eye and Aaliyah together in like a quick, montage, and just boom. That was the tribute that they got at the BET Awards. They did Left Eye and Aaliyah 2-for-1 special in like a 45-second voiceover where it shows the camera panning over the crowd and it shows their two pictures and like a snippet from the Waterfalls video. And I want to say rock with you, and then boom. Or Rock the Boat, not Rock with You. Sorry, I'm thinking Michael Jackson. Yeah, that's what they got. It would be nice if they got something else, but there's that. I might say Roberta Flack needs a tribute. They did give her one at this one. So I'm glad Roberta got hers. Like I said, I love when Jamie referenced Stevie or Steve Val. It was funny when he did that portion about how Stevie was able to just kind of walk over and give that award. That was funny. I was like, I'm not going to hell for laughing at that, but that was funny. It feels good to laugh every now and then because there's so much going on. Sometimes you just need a good laugh, right? I love to laugh. That's why I be sometimes annoyed doing these lives because I got to be on here cussing people out all night. Like, hell, I'm going to laugh too. Okay. It's like Baps when he was like, Oh, why we got to go out and watch other people eat? Hell, I want to eat too. Like, man. When are we getting a new podcast episode? I know it was supposed to come. I'm so sorry. I needed it to be right. And then on top of that, I had the most pleasant surprise because I went to my kid's graduation. So I had 5, 6 that graduated this year. And I don't know what was in the water, but it was almost like every kid I've ever worked with was at their graduation. Like, well, maybe not everyone, but there were so many generations of children that I've worked with that were represented there. And so it was really nice because some were as old as like 28, 29, and then some were as young as like 11 or 12. And maybe there was maybe like, I want to say close to 60 of us there. So we got to take this nice group picture. Who you know is Ava from the podcast was there. It was just like old times. It was really good. I mean, Ava was crying. That's how touching it was to just see all of our old kids and stuff. It was really nice. And just to see them all thriving. Like I got one that's going to Syracuse on a full ride. I got another one going to Old Dominion. Like they're just all thriving. I love to see it. I got some that are, finished and done with college. I'm like, man, I need time to slow down. So that was really, really cool. I saw some old parents I haven't seen in a while. And, they come and just thank you. Like, man, you made sure all of my kids made it out, right? And it's kind of dope when you see like a family that has like 3 or 4 kids and all of them went to college, especially when they don't want us going to anything. Like, man, yeah, I'll get to the podcast. Don't worry, y'all. Plus, I also have to kind of figure out how to stretch this one out because it's about to get a little sad, but I wanted to stay happy because it's called Comedically Hard-Headed. But there's a few tragedies that take place around this next school year that we're about to cover. So I'm trying to find a way to present it where it doesn't get too sad. But anyway, let's see. Would you do a So What Happened for Aaliyah? Well, listen, what's it? Justice by Jerry? Look, he got so many of them. Just go to his channel because he got everybody. At this point, I'm like, well, who can I cover? Because every time I look, he got a new one. No, I probably wouldn't do Aaliyah because he actually just did an Aaliyah one. It's actually really well put together. I think it kind of covers everything. Well, his more so goes a little bit more into like the history of the artist. I think mine is a bit more centered on like the business aspect and the context of where the industry was. But who knows? We'll see. I don't know who my next So What Happens is going to be, but I'm not going to tell y'all this time. It's just going to come out because what ends up happening is I tell y'all that I'm working on something. Life happens. I shoot a movie or do an album or a music video, and So What Happened just keeps taking a back seat. And before you know it, it's been a year or 2, and then it finally comes out. So this time, y'all will just be minding your business, and you'll get a ding. Oh, he has a new episode out because I'm not saying who's next, and I'm not saying what the next music talk is. You just get it when you get it. I'm learning to just put it out, not string y'all along. Let's see. Somebody said they deserve better. Yeah, they definitely did for Aaliyah and Left Eye. Okay, let's keep going, y'all, because I got a few other things to talk about. Playboy Carti, DJ Swamp, they did Like Wheezy and Rather Lie. Now, I didn't really know these songs like that. I know Playboy Carti. This, I ain't gonna lie, this is probably my least favorite performance of the night. It wasn't bad. It's just not what I'm really into, but it's cool for what it was. It was cool. That's all I got. Let me see. Andre did the tribute to Roberta Flack, did Killing Me Softly. They had a very nice mix of artists represented, right? And then, oh yeah, they needed the Snoop tribute. Snoop is kind of on my S-word list at the moment, but I'll let him have his moment. They did Unsung Heroes, Drop It Like It's Hot, Nothing But a G Thing. Next episode, beautiful, outstanding. You lucky if you brought Charlie Wilson out, Snoop, because you on my S-word list right now. Down for My Ends. Really, are you? We're going to find out. And then Ain't No Fun and Gin and Juice. Now, I ain't going to lie. It was kind of interesting watching them perform Ain't No Fun in front of Kirk Franklin. But I was like, Kirk would probably... Kirk would probably take that Ain't No Fun sample and remix it to Melodies from Heaven on the next tour. So there's that. But yeah, he also brought out Corrupt and Warren G. So I was like, okay, cool for the nostalgia. And then they had the Angie Stone tribute because there were some people on Twitter going off because they thought Angie Stone was forgotten. Everybody was going off like, what? I was like, just give it a minute. You saw that they did the Quincy Johnson. You saw that they did Roberta. I'm sure they're not going to skip Angie. So I'm glad Angie got hers as well. And Brittany Spencer did a really great job. And I'm glad they let Brittany Spencer do the full song. Sometimes they just do like a minute and 20 seconds of the song, go to commercial. No, they let it play. And my thing is, when it comes to the No More Rain in This Cloud, it's the bridge that pulls me in every time. And I was like, they better get to that. You better get to that bridge. You better get to that bridge. They got to the bridge and got over it. Okay. Bridge over troubled water. So I was happy. Very, very happy. Right. So that was really, really, really nice. I'm going to pause and read some comments here. Well, I'm going to keep it going. Has there been a Stevie Wonder tribute yet? You know what's crazy? He has not received the Lifetime Achievement Award yet from the BET Awards, but he did have BET Walk of Fame. Remember they used to do that? Like Aretha had one, Patty had one, Luther had one. They haven't done one in years, so maybe, I don't know, but Stevie needs one. All right. Ayana J said Tony and all that sensual dancing in the I Miss You video. Tony gonna always be Miss Sexy. I saw the pictures of her at the son's graduation at Howard, and Tony had legs out. Tony said, "I'm gonna be Tony Braxton." That is funny though, because that I Miss You video, that was like the inside joke when that video came out. Everybody was like, "What is Tony up there doing?" You know, everybody else, you know, just in deep thought. You know, rappers don't cry; they just doing this, and everybody just praying. Here come Tony. Tony. Tony, no, that's not what this is for. Lord, Tony, man. She said, look, I just had a baby and I lost all the weight and I snapped back. Somebody gonna see this body. Man. Let's see. Somebody said, even the parents that drove you crazy. Yeah, even some of the ones that used to give me a hard time come back and thank me years later. You know, you had a parent or two that wanted to meet you in the parking lot and swing a few times. I'm like, all right, if that's the memory you want your child to have of you being laid out in the parking lot, go for it. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Somebody said, I would love to see En Vogue get honored now that Maxine's back. Yeah, that's nice. They're actually going on tour. They're in Europe right now with the three. So there's that. Oh, and of course, let me see here. The Amplified stage, because I always like to shout out those artists. They had Raven Lene, who performed the song Love Me Not, and they had, I hope I'm saying this right, El Mine, who performed the song Crystal Tears, which again, I always try to shout those ones out as well. I'm glad that they got a little bit more time than usual, because sometimes, you know, they go to commercial so fast. And of course, excuse me, I have to keep burping. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Kirk Frankling was the last person honored. And like I said, I would have had Kirk Frankling be the opener, because Kirk Frankling tore that stage a new one, right? First of all, he's already going to give you everything you need to begin with, because it's Kirk Frankling. The musicality is just there. But, you know, they did Silver and Gold. They did I Smile, Do It Again, Melodies from Heaven. Then they brought out Tamar, Money Long, Jamal Roberts. And then, of course, they did Revolution and Stump. So much fun. Band is cranking, choirs jamming and singing. They got the dancers. Kirk knows how to work a stage. And I feel like that was the perfect closer, but it would have been an even better opener to really like set the tone for the rest of the show. Because I was like, see, y'all be sleeping on the gospel artists. Excellent. Because the problem is, like, the show was like 4.5 hours. So everybody was tired, because every commercial was like, coming up even more. I'm like, more? It's 12 o'clock. Like, oh, my lives don't even be this long. Okay, here we go. And so they just get more to come. What's left? Who's left? But he made it worth the wait. And I enjoyed the speech that he had. I love the fact that he was even like, look, I can't even sing. Look what I was able to do. Even though he's lying, Kirk Franklin used to actually be able to sing. He just lost his voice. I don't think people realize when you listen to those songs like Joy, that's him singing on Joy. That's him singing on He's Able. That's him singing on a lot of those early songs. The voice kind of just went away over the years. I don't know what happened, but he used to actually sing. So that's not true. But yeah, Tamar sounded good over that choir. I'm glad, like, that's kind of her lane. I think you can tell when she's in her good pocket. So that was really, really nice. And now the BET Awards. Categories, I don't ever really be paying attention to who wins what. I know some people are annoyed with the gospel category because they felt like Glorilla is not a gospel artist, and that, you know, when you just throw contemporary Christian, inspirational gospel, traditional gospel all in one category, and then you throw in rapper, it's kind of like, of course they're going to pick the super popular rapper that's crossed over and collaborated with the gospel artist. So some people were mad. I think the issue would more so be they just have to expand that gospel category and break it down, because gospel doesn't all fit in one bubble. There's gospel, there's contemporary Christian, there's, you know, inspirational listening. You know, there's a whole bunch of different categories it falls under. So yeah, there's that. Let's see here. Okay, so share your thoughts before I shift over to the next topic here. Let's see. Oh, y'all still going after Tony. Leave Tony alone. Somebody said they did Melodies from Heaven. They did. Melodies from Heaven to me is one of those collective experience songs that everybody remembers. I love that song. I just can't with the shows anymore, to be honest, but I'll watch the clips. Yeah, it's Melodies from Heaven is one of those ones that we all know. Now, my Kirk Franklin song is Imagine Me. That's the one. Once they get to the gone, all gone part, and they start repeating it, that's the part I'm like, oh God, I'm about to get teary-eyed. Let me turn this off. That's the one that gets you. That's when lyrics really start hitting you. Man, that one there is mine. Actually, he got a few. Always, Broken Hearted, My Life, My Love, My All. What else? Just for Me. Winter's Promise is a really beautiful song, but I got to turn that one off too because it gets sad. That's the one about like when all your relatives have died, and it's like just let heaven be real. And it's a beautiful song until they get to the very end, and then they have the people talking to their dead parents. I'm like, oh, let me turn this off. They're about to have me choked up in the car driving. I got to be able to see. I like all of his slower stuff. Like Silver and Gold is a favorite, especially when they modulate at the end. We'll be here all day if I start going through all my favorite Kirk Franklin songs. I mean, I like the up-tempos too, but he writes these beautiful gospel ballads. I think they're just written so well. Very nice, very nice. Rebirth of Kirk Franklin is my favorite album of his, followed by Losing My Religion is a nice one too, because I like the song When. I don't know. He got it all. All right. Somebody say, yeah, it gets me every time. Sounds of Blackness, because we like them. Yeah. Okay, let's shift gears here. I did want to talk about Amerie's Tiny Desk, because I woke up to a barrage of messages where everybody's like, you got to listen to this. This is horrible. This is the worst. I was like, relax, because I was excited, because I was like, oh, Amerie's doing one. Let me go listen. So here's my theory. One, I don't think it was terrible. I think where things were not great, one, because, you know, she did a few songs. One, if I were her, she should have done one thing first. It sounded like by the time she got to one thing, her voice had gave out. She was done. So she probably should have opened with one thing. I think what works against Amerie is that she sings most of her songs out of her chest, minus a lot of the songs on the first album, which is kind of in her head voice. But she does a lot of singing out of her chest, like a lot of belting, a lot. And even with her stacks, she doesn't really blend in her music, because even her backgrounds they tend to be out of her chest. So when you listen to songs like Rolling Down My Face, the backgrounds are all still saying out of the chest. When you listen to like Somebody Up There Who Loves Me, all the backgrounds, again, belting out of the chest. Why Don't We Fall in Love, belting out of the chest. Talking to Me is kind of half and half, head voice out of the chest. And so I think what works against her in that aspect is her background singers were not able to blend at all on most of those songs. Like no disrespect to the background singers, they just didn't sound good to me. And it's because they're trying to blend out of chest. Remember when I said I think the reason In Vogue always sounds really good is most of their songs are not out of their chest. A lot of their songs, I mean, they'll ad-lib out of the chest, they'll sing verses out of their chest, but most of their harmonies together are in head voice, except for songs like Free Your Mind and Don't Let Go. But when you listen to songs like Never Gonna Get It, Don't Go, not Don't Let Go, but Don't Go, Give It Up, Turn It Loose, Love Makes You Do Things, Runaway Love, You Don't Have to Worry, Lies, a lot of their songs, they blend together in their head voice. Head voice is easier to control because you can maneuver just how much power you want to put behind it versus your chest. People are not as comfortable in their chest range. A Fantasia is an exception. She can do whatever out of her chest because that's where she sits, right? She sits in her chest. But for people who sit in their head voice, going to your chest, you may not always be able to control it as nicely as you want to, especially when you're trying to blend with somebody else. The background singers weren't able to blend as well. Amerie has a very unique texture and tone that's a little gritty. So it's not always the prettiest sound. And so once that sound is tired or the voice sounds a little worn, it just doesn't go well. And then Tiny Desk as well does not do a lot of reverb. If you notice, it's a very dry sound with any Tiny Desk. So with Tiny Desk, you got to really be able to sing, or we're going to hear all the flaws and everything that's there. I thought for the first portion of the songs, some of them were okay. You know, I think I Just Died in Your Arms sounded okay. Why Don't We Fall in Love wasn't that bad. It was okay. Talking to Me was okay. I liked the arrangements that they had. She had Backyard Band in there. I just think what also might have worked against her, because she also has a very loud catalog, I think sometimes when you're trying to sing over the music, it doesn't fly. Think about like when people try to sing in the car, but the music is too loud and people burn their voice out trying to sing with Faith Evans or Joe or whoever in the car, but the music is too loud, right? We tend to turn the music up in the car because we want to saturate it and feel it. And you don't realize you have it turned up on like level 55. And then now that it's way up at level 55, you trying to sing up at level 55 too out of your chest and wondering why your voice didn't gave out after 3 songs. When in reality, when you, like how I'm talking now is kind of like a normal pocket to sit in. But if you're in a car playing loud music, this would not be the pocket you were going to sing in if you were trying to sing with the music or sing over it, because the music would be louder. So now I'd have to talk a little bit harder for the sound to come out. So, you know, that's kind of like where that's at. So maybe they could have practiced a little bit more, maybe gave her some water, but it wasn't as bad. I just think one thing was not good, to be honest. That one, yeah, I didn't like one thing at all. But and then I was like, hey, Marie, you're going to have to stand still, right? The notes are already everywhere. You need to stand still. I know you're trying to dance. And this is the time to be Mariah, okay? At least Mariah knows when to stand still. I'll give her that, okay? That was the time to stand still. And then the other thing, I don't know why everybody was trying to whack Anne Marie. I'm like, y'all acting like y'all looked to her like she was a Nobel Peace Prize award-winning vocalist that we study for vocal technique tips from. And this is not to be shady or nothing, but I was like, she was never that. So I found it interesting. But yeah, I think she could have just lowered the arrangement too. Like, you know, like I said earlier, those songs are 20 years old. Anne Marie should be in her about mid-40s at this point. Like I said, your voice gets darker and changes. Even Beyonce on her current tour, yes, there's songs that she still sings in the original key. Like I think I saw her do Irreplaceable. It's still in the same key. A lot of the songs are in the same key, but there's some songs that she lowers, and it's not because she can't hit the notes, but as your voice changes, you can just do more things in a more comfortable pocket. So even though, like I said, and y'all will whack me, I do not like the song Dangerously in Love. I've never liked the song. I do not care for it. However, I think when she did open with it on the Renaissance tour, even I was like, oh, this song. I thought it was a beautiful arrangement of how she did it. And because it wasn't so high, she could really just sit and saturate in the note. And she has a really good pocket anyway. So like, it just sounded really good. And I think her singing in that pocket sounds way better than even in her prime when she used to do it way back then, because that's when, to me, I thought the song was annoying. Sorry, Beyonce fans, don't fight me. So again, sometimes it's just like lower the pocket, lower the key, make it work, you know, for whatever your current voice is. But I like Anne Marie, so y'all can whack her all you want. I still enjoyed it. Yeah, it was not that bad. Y'all had me thinking that it was gonna just be like, I was like, let me see what she's doing. I thought it was okay. Somebody said, did you mean you were in high school in 2005? I don't know if that's in reference. You must have heard when I was lying and saying I was born in 2006. Yeah, I was still in high school in 05. Somebody said, Kirk Franklin is gifted and I enjoyed Maverick City Singers. Mm-hmm. So somebody said, folks were so mean to Anne Marie. Everybody got that gang mentality. It's kind of like when y'all start whacking J-Lo. I'm like, okay, we know at this point, J-Lo been getting dragged for like 10 years. Like how much more rage do y'all have for that lady? I could see if the lady was still getting #1 hits and selling out stadiums. The woman then got divorced, had to cancel a tour. Y'all didn't buy her last album. The last movie ain't do that good. How much further down in the trenches do you want the lady to be? Lord, can we give some of this energy to some of the other artists that are actually a bit more terrible as far as people? But yeah, there's that. Let's see. I don't think she did Touch, did she? Somebody said she should have did one thing and then ended with Touch. I don't remember if she did the song Touch. Tyler Hackman said those chest-dominant vocalists tend to lose their voices quicker. Whitney, for example, not saying vocally there's a comparison. Yeah, you do a lot of that chest belting. Whereas there's some who I think hold on. Like I think Patty did a really good job at maintaining hers, but I think that was just some people just built different. I mean, Patty just now has lost the power behind her voice. Like, you know, if you go see her today, you're not going to get what you grew up on. But it's still, again, she's 80 or maybe even 81. Like most people don't even have a voice at that point. She still has a very beautiful falsetto and everything, but the big chest is done. You know, it can come out in ways, but it's done. Shaka still has hers, but Shaka, I think, has a different pocket. Like some sopranos just have a very comfortable pocket where it's easier for them to sing higher. Like Shaka has that voice that's like a trumpet when she sings, a very brassy sound. So everybody's just very different. Let's see here. What are you talking about? I will deal with that later. I ain't got time for that. Some logistics for this trip. Okay. Somebody said they didn't like the backup singers. Yeah, they didn't sound cohesive. I agree. I don't know how much rehearsal time they had. Shout out to the Backyard Band and Go-Go. Yes. Was it on the BET app? I don't know. I watched it on YouTube TV. Let's see here. Somebody said just stand and sing. Oh, it's okay. Xylem Artist just said what I was talking about. Should have just lowered the arrangement. Anyway, and she made up for it at the BET Awards anyway, because that was a fun performance. So there's that. Let's see. Somebody said Beyonce's in her prime now, in my opinion. Well, I meant prime like as far as, well, to be fair, you're still vocally in your prime in your 40s. I'll just say younger Beyonce, when her voice was a bit brighter, because she had a younger sound in her voice, kind of. That's what I meant. Like that B-Day era Beyonce, where, you know, she could sing the Green Lights and Sugar Mamas and Freakin' Dresses, and it was like it wasn't even any effort for her to do it. She just naturally set way up there. Yeah. Y'all still whacking J-Lo. Does Gladys sing in head and chest? She sings in both, but Gladys was taught to not sing at the top of her range. And she talked about that in an interview where she said when she was coming up, her vocal coach told her, they sat on the piano, you know, you can find your range. And even though they found the top of her range, the vocalist was like, actually, we're going to go a few keys back. You never go past this point, because you start singing up here, you're going to blow your voice out. Stay in this pocket. And I think that's why Gladys's voice has lasted for so long, because she's an alto, but she can definitely sing higher. Like, you know, we're used to hearing the Midnight Trains, the Georgias, and You're the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me. And what else does she have? Love Overboard and Save the Overtime for Me. But when you listen to some of those songs like I'll Be Standing By, Gladys is singing so high. Like, I didn't even know she could sing that high. Or even like It Should Have Been Me. She can sing up there if she wants to, but a lot of her songs, she kept it in a lower pocket, and there's more power behind that. So I think that kind of helped her to really sustain her voice over these years, because her and Patty are like the same age. I think they're 1 year apart. They're both in their 80s. And so Gladys, to me, still relatively sounds the same. She is a little bit slower now. You know, they'll arrange the songs a bit to play a little bit slower. They might drop a half a key, but she's still there. Like, that voice is there. Let's see. Somebody said the older you get, the lower your voice gets. Strange to me. I guess it just has to do with you keep using it. It just kind of, I look at it like fine wine, right? You know, the longer it sits, the better it gets, and it really gets into its pocket. Because I think some people sound better when their voice matures a little bit. Like, I think Brandy sounded better in her 30s and early 40s than she did when she was first coming out. She still sounded great, but like as Brandy got older, like when I watch her do Sitting Up in My Room for that Census concert from 2020, she sounds so good. And she still sounded good when the song came out, but she sounds better now singing it than when she was a teenager, because her voice has matured and has found it's cured. You know, like when they talk about the cheese cures in the cellar, like it has cured, right? I think some people just sound better when they really get in that pocket. Or Usher, right? Let's be honest. Nobody ever talked about Usher being this pristine vocalist during his peak. And this is not a whack job. Please do not think I'm trying to drag Usher. But when it came to those conversations of like best male singers, I guess maybe Confessions era, people started putting him in that conversation. But when we're talking 8701 and the My Way era, Usher was not in those conversations. But today, because his voice is so silky smooth, and he sings live in everything, now he's in that conversation where people really respect the voice that he has. Like, oh, he's really, really, you know, he's a great vocalist, right? Because his voice is really just it's just matured into this really nice pocket. He has a very nice texture, right? Tina Turner's another one. Her voice, in my opinion, got better when she got in her 50s. She had lots of power when she was with Ike, but I think as we got to when we start getting to like the Foreign Affair era and those songs like Typical Male and stuff like that, her voice just to me it got better even live. You know, I think there are performances of songs like River Deep Mountain High or Land of a Thousand Dances that sound better when she performed them in the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s than they did when she was performing them in the 70s. When I think of when she does Better Be Good to Me on the 24/7 tour, I think vocally she sounds better in 2000 when she was 59 or 60 than she did when the song came out off Private Dancer. So it just all varies. What am I getting yelled at? All right, cool. All right, anyway, let's see here. Lovely. All right, let me see. So that's Amerie Tiny Desk. What else did I say I was talking about? We talking about Fantasia, talking about what's the topic of this video? I think I still got to lash Ti for 1 second because he's pissing me off so much. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So with the Ti situation, because I know that's the next thing I was talking about. Yep, certainly was. Okay, so this is more for people who are into music, right? Ti to me has always been one of my favorite producers coming up. Even with me making music, he definitely is somebody I kind of look to in some instances. I feel like I get most of my ideas and inspiration from like Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Prince, that kind of sound. But Timbaland definitely still has some element of influence. And one of the things that's been disappointing about somebody like Timbaland is I just feel like for the last 15 years, he's just been moving real weird, where it's about the dollar and not the art. And for me, when I see people climb the ranks, but then pull the ladder up behind them and close the door, and I just look at them differently. So right now, the thing is, we know AI isn't going anywhere. It's here. We can't get away from it, right? I think what has annoyed me is now there's this new thing where he pretty much has signed an AI artist. So there's this artist, not a real artist, that, you know, it's not a real person. And he has signed this art. I'm gonna see if I can even pull it up real quick. Timbaland AI artist. Here we go. So yeah, now he launches the AI music company called Stage Zero. His first artist is named Tata. So he's created this like Asian-esque artist. And then I think what's just interesting to me, we talked about this a few lives back where he was talking about AI is more soulful than what the people are doing right now. And there's just some things that I have questions about, because I know he had a program where producers could submit their music to him to be heard, to get ideas and stuff. And then out of nowhere, that program just magically disappeared. And now all of a sudden he shows up with this whole new AI artist that has all these sounds. And I'm like, I can't speculate and put things out there, but did you take all of the music that all these people submitted because they thought they had an opportunity to work with you or get on or get that next opportunity? Did you use all of them? And I'm asking, I'm not saying this is what's done because I don't know, but it's like, did you use all of that music that was submitted to train whatever this program is? And so now all of the ideas that these thousands of independent producers have submitted because they thought they had an opportunity, you know, working with you, are those the sounds that were utilized to train this new AI artist that you've created? I'm so confused here. He said, let me see. Timbaland told news outlets that Tata's voice originated from a pseudo generation that caught his attention. It came to a point where I'm like, yo, this voice is amazing. In a statement, Timbaland said, I'm not just producing tracks anymore. I'm producing system stories and stars from scratch. The artists of tomorrow just won't be human. There'll be IP, code, and robotics that are fully autonomous. That's what they're saying with Stage Zero. I'm not a fan. I'm sorry. I get that technology is here and that things will evolve, but I look at AI as something we're supposed to use to enhance with, right? Not to replace. Creativity, I don't care what you say, those aren't things you can emulate. Either you have it or you don't. And the idea and the fact that now music industry is already an S-word show to begin with. Nobody's making any money. It's cool that they have this law that they're trying to pass where at least artists will get 1 cent per stream, because we're not even getting that. So that's cool that that's a thing. But this is the worst time to be an artist for people who are artists. There's no money. You literally have to tour, or you will never bring in anything. You have to tour, you got to do merch. And then unfortunately, because record deals are nonsense, a lot of your deals incorporate a tour on top of that. Then Ticketmaster, Live Nation owns everything. So they own like 80% of the venues. So you can't really tour without using them. Or you won't have access to the venues that you would like, or the premier ones. There's just so many things going on. And so in this era where there's all this stuff already going on, you want to all of a sudden put all your energy into like these computer type artists. And it's a way, to me, I see it as a money grab, because you don't have to pay the computer. You can make all the money off the AI artists. You can make all the money off everything. You don't got to worry about royalties or publishing, because what are they going to do? They get an attitude, you unplug them, right? And so trying to pass this off as like, oh, this is the next big wave, this is the next opportunity. No, to me, this is you cashing in the same way they cashed in with Versus, where they saw an opportunity, and then as soon as the opportunity came, they went and tried to cash in, and that's why we don't care about Versus. And I also remember Homeboy running with Elon Musk and all them, and it's like, you don't read the room. And then he also has this very dismissive approach when people call him out. Like, he tries to act like all of us are just tripping. And it's like, no, you on some bull. So I'm looking at him very, 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 very sideways at the moment. I want to see where this goes. And again, AI is not going anywhere, so we're going to have to learn to live with it. But the fact that you are already in a space where now we're not even signing artists, right? There's already tons of starving artists out here trying to get on, trying to do whatever they need to do. And now you mean to tell me they got to compete with machines? This is going to kind of almost be like the cashiers versus self-checkout, but for the music industry. It's going to get to that point. So Timbaland, to me, has sold everybody out in music. And I can't. I'm sorry. He been on some nonsense. Look, once he got that Justin Timberlake money and told Genuine where he could go, I was like, yeah, Timbaland's on some nonsense. So he been kind of flaky since about 2009, if we want to be honest. But anyway, that's that. All right, I'm gonna read the chat for a little bit. Then we're actually gonna wrap, because I need to go pack, and then I need to put out whatever this fire is that I'm getting blown up about on my phone. And then yeah, let's see. Somebody said Brandy's voice on I Thought in a Part still gives me chills when I hear it. She's singing so high on the bridge, the climax of I Thought. Somebody said Tina Turner had different range in singing. I watched someone YouTube explain her vocal range. You know, that was probably what's his name? The guy that has the Black Archives channel, Black Music Archives channel. He just changed the name of his channel, but he makes really great videos. Let's see. Somebody says you lose elasticity in your vocal cords as you get older, just like your limbs. Very true. Very true. Somebody said Patty got that young boyfriend. Gladys Knight got a young husband too. I remember when we were at that gala. One of my kids was winning like a really, really cool award, and Gladys Knight was there. And we were trying to get to the Gladys Knight table, and her husband came and was like, "Oh, she's eating," and I'm thinking he's security. He was her husband. I was like, "How old is he?" He looked like he's like 50. Like, all right, Gladys. Gladys said that's what's keeping her alive. She needs somebody young. Yeah. Oh, I knew I ended up saying T.I. somewhere. Timbaland. I'm sorry. Thank you, Black Healer. Yeah. I was talking about Timbaland this whole time. I thought I said T.I. at one point when I was scrolling. I was like, no, I think I said Timbaland. Thank you for that. A lot of our great producers, writers are going over to K-pop, sadly. Yes, Teddy Riley, Sean Garrett. Yeah. Somebody said they just want to stop paying people. That's really what it is. When I tell you there's no money in music right now, if you're not touring, you're not making any money. I make more money from my music because I have a YouTube channel than I actually do from the streams and everything. Excuse me. And what's so funny too, so when my first album dropped, that was like 2017. I made more money from that album. And mind you, nobody even bought it like that. But because people were still buying albums, I made more money from my very first album than the current two. Well, to be fair, I'm also not really promoting them like that. But in this era of streaming, even though the current two have better streams and everything, you're not really making a whole lot from them. So YouTube at this point is bringing me the bread and butter. People used to get annoyed because I used to always put my songs at the end of my pre-made videos. I'm like, yeah, that's how I'm getting my stream. I'm trying to beat the system because Spotify ain't paying enough. So yeah. Yes, I did talk about Sly Stone already. Yeah, Timbaland, I don't know. Great production, but to me, I'm just not. I'm good. I'm so good. Somebody said we've been in the streaming era for like a decade and people aren't making money. The labels are making money. The artists just aren't getting enough. Spotify, I think, is still 0.0006 cent per stream, or 0.006 cent per stream. It's nonsense. You're not making anything. So there's that. I mean, I don't make music for money because I just make it because I enjoy it. It's a great hobby. It's a great outlet. And but yeah, for people who, for that to be their living, there's some people who that's the only thing they do. I don't know how they do it. And then even these tours are expensive. Like a lot of these people aren't making money on tour, unfortunately. I mean, we see the big name artists, but a lot of these ones who are independent, who have to pay everybody and everything, like this stuff is not cheap, and even if I were to do like a one-off concert or something, I got to pay at least I probably have a 4 or 5 piece band. All of these people need to get paid whatever their actual rate is, right? If I have a dancer or 2 or 3, you got to pay them their rate. You got to pay whatever the venue is going to be. They're going to get a percentage. You got to get the insurance for the actual show, for whatever that's going to be. Whoever your vendor is with the tickets, they're going to get a percentage of everything. If you have a lighting crew, you got to pay the lighting crew. There's so many things you got to cover. And so you may end up having a show that sells out and then you only broke even because you had to pay all your expenses. So yeah, let's see. Said, mind you, we were kids like high school. I don't like grown folks who bully kids and discourage their ambitions. Okay, when did I miss? I feel like you're having a good conversation here. Let me scroll up and see what the first comment was. Where's that thing? I don't see what the first comment was to that, but okay. I agree with whatever you were saying. All right, y'all. We're going to wind this down. I need to go pack. I will make sure that we get in another live next week because there's so many things we need to actually cover. There's like some serious matters going on in the world. And so who knows? If you guys like this idea that we did like an all music related one, we could do a few more of these a bit more often if this was something y'all really liked. I just want to do something a little bit different. But yeah, so we'll definitely squeeze in the next live next week. We need to talk about what's happening politically, just everything. So much going on. But yeah, share your 2 cents. I'm out. Stay safe, stay sane. Mind your business so that you can age well. And yeah, folks, have a great night. I will see you guys some point next week, and I will let you know how my trip goes. All right, guys, good night.